Have you ever wondered why she seems perfectly fine after leaving you, but over time, her regret slowly creeps in? At first, she might seem confident, even convinced that she made the right choice. But beneath that surface, something deeper begins to brew, an unspoken realization that she may have let go of something valuable. In today's video, we're not talking about revenge or emotional manipulation. No. We'll explore a far more powerful strategy, one that doesn't involve begging, chasing, or trying to convince her to come back. Instead, it's about reclaiming your power, focusing on yourself, and growing into the strongest version of who you are meant to be. You see, when a woman leaves, she expects a certain reaction from you: pleading, desperation, or at least visible heartbreak. But when you choose indifference, something powerful happens. You break her expectations. You disrupt the entire dynamic. Suddenly, she's left questioning her decision, wondering if she truly knew you at all. Think about it, the most successful, fulfilled people don't waste their energy chasing what's gone. They channel that energy into something greater, their personal growth, their mental and emotional mastery. This isn't just a strategy, it's a transformation. When you stop looking back and start moving forward with full force, the power shifts. The truth is, women rarely admit when they regret their decisions. Their egos won't let them. But regret is felt in moments of silence and reflection. And the ultimate way to trigger that realization is to focus on your journey, not hers. You don't just move on, you rise above. So, if you've ever been in that situation, wondering what went wrong and how to make it right, stay tuned. This journey is about finding your strength, not seeking validation. Let's dive in and uncover the strategy that will not only heal you but make you unstoppable. Let's be honest, women rarely admit regret immediately after leaving a relationship. The truth is, their ego and societal expectations often make it difficult to openly acknowledge that they may have made a mistake. At first, they might convince themselves that it was the right decision, focusing on new experiences or distractions. But regret doesn't usually show up in loud or obvious ways, it creeps in quietly, slowly taking shape in moments of reflection, loneliness, or unexpected doubt. In the beginning, it's easy for someone to be confident about leaving. New opportunities feel exciting, and the past relationship feels like a closed chapter. But eventually, reality catches up. The attention fades, and those moments of certainty turn into subtle questions. Did I make the right decision? Did I truly know what I was walking away from? The first signs of regret often come during quiet nights or when life slows down. Maybe it's seeing a picture of you looking happier than ever or hearing about your recent success. It's not immediate, but it's there, a nagging feeling that starts to grow stronger over time. What makes this realization even more powerful is that it happens when you're no longer available. When you've moved on, invested in yourself, and become someone she no longer has access to, that's when regret truly hits. You see, regret is rarely about losing the past, it's about losing access to the future version of you, the man she didn't give herself the chance to know. And that's why indifference and self-growth are your strongest weapons. Think about it, if you remain stuck in the past, she'll feel justified in her decision. But when you focus on evolving, your absence becomes more meaningful. You're not the same person she left behind, you've grown into something greater, something she never expected. And that's where the real power lies. So, if you've been in a situation where you wonder whether she'll regret it, trust me, she will. But it won't happen because you tried to make her feel it. It'll happen when you've moved so far forward that the only thing she can do is look back and realize what she lost. Let's talk about why begging is the ultimate weakness in any relationship. It's an instinct many people have when they face rejection, pleading for another chance, trying to explain their worth, or convincing someone to stay. But the truth is, begging doesn't show love or strength, it signals desperation and insecurity. When you beg, you lose control, not just of the situation but of how the other person perceives you. Suddenly, you're no longer the confident, independent person they were once drawn to. Instead, you become someone who seems dependent on their validation. And trust me, nothing is less attractive than that. The power in relationships, or any human interaction, lies with the person who needs the other less. When you beg, you're handing over all your power on a silver platter. You're essentially saying, "I can't live without you," which not only boosts their ego but also confirms that walking away was the right choice. But what happens when you do the opposite? What if, instead of pleading, you choose silence and self-respect? That's when the game changes entirely. Silence is powerful because it leaves room for doubt, doubt in their decision, doubt in what they thought they knew about you. Imagine this: you disappear from their life without drama or emotional outbursts. You don't chase, you don't explain, and you certainly don't beg. Instead, you focus on rebuilding your life, improving yourself, and becoming the best version of who you are. In time, they'll start to wonder. Why haven't you reached out? Why aren't you trying to fix things? This curiosity can be more powerful than any words you could say because it forces them to reflect on their own decisions without your influence. Remember, control doesn't come from forcing someone to stay. True control comes from having the strength to walk away with your dignity intact. You're not proving your worth to them, you're proving it to yourself. Begging might seem like the easiest way to keep someone in your life, but it's actually the quickest way to push them further away. Strength, on the other hand, is silent. It's in your ability to choose yourself over someone who didn't choose you. And that strength is what they'll remember long after the words have faded. Emotional control is at the heart of Stoic philosophy. It's about mastering your emotions, not suppressing them, and ensuring that external events, no matter how challenging, do not dictate your inner state. In the context of relationships, this is an incredibly powerful tool. When someone leaves or rejects you, the natural reaction might be to panic, lash out, or seek immediate reassurance. However, the Stoic approach teaches us to pause, reflect, and regain control of our emotions. Instead of reacting impulsively, you respond with calm and clarity. This shift is what sets you apart and gives you the strength to navigate through the toughest times. Imagine this: a storm is raging outside. You can't stop the wind or the rain, but you can build a stronger shelter. Your emotions are like that storm. You can't stop them from arising, but you can decide how you respond. Emotional control is about becoming that shelter, a steady, unwavering presence in the midst of chaos. Let me share an example. I once knew a man who went through a devastating breakup. At first, he was overwhelmed with sadness and anger. He wanted to confront his ex, demand answers, and seek closure. But instead of acting on those impulses, he chose a different path. He started practicing emotional discipline, channeling his energy into personal growth. He took up physical training, focused on his career, and immersed himself in self-improvement. Slowly but surely, the chaos inside him started to settle. He became stronger, not just physically but mentally and emotionally. Months later, when his ex reached out to him, he no longer felt the urge to respond emotionally. He had already moved on and built a life that made him proud. This is the essence of Stoic emotional control. It's not about ignoring your feelings, it's about understanding them and deciding how much power they have over you. When you master this, you become unshakable. Here's a practical exercise: the next time you feel overwhelmed, take a step back and ask yourself, is this within my control? If the answer is no, then let it go. Focus on what you can control: your actions, your reactions, and your growth. That's where true power lies. The beauty of emotional control is that it doesn't just make you stronger, it makes you unpredictable. People are used to reactions. When you stop reacting and start observing, you change the dynamic. You become the calm in the storm, and that calm is far more powerful than any emotional outburst could ever be. The dark psychology of indifference is one of the most powerful tools you can use in relationships and personal growth. Why? Because indifference is unsettling. It disrupts expectations and breaks the patterns people rely on for control. When someone expects you to react, whether with anger, sadness, or desperation, and you respond with calm indifference, it creates confusion and intrigue. They begin to question their assumptions about you. Why is he not reacting? Why isn't he chasing me? This shift in perception makes you unpredictable, and in human psychology, unpredictability is magnetic. Indifference is not about pretending you don't care, it's about genuinely detaching from outcomes you can't control. This emotional detachment doesn't just protect you, it shifts the power dynamic entirely. Instead of focusing on them, you're focusing on your growth, your goals, and your life. This change is noticeable. They'll sense it, not through words but through your actions and energy. Let me give you a real-life example. A friend of mine went through a difficult breakup. Initially, he tried everything: texting, calling, seeking closure. Nothing worked. Then he decided to focus entirely on himself. He hit the gym, pursued a new career path, and stayed completely silent. A few months later, his ex reached out. Why? Because his indifference became impossible to ignore. He had stopped giving her the emotional feedback she expected. He became a mystery, a man who no longer needed her validation. That absence of need is what attracted her back. Indifference is powerful because it's rare. Most people are reactive, driven by their emotions and impulses. But when you detach and focus on your own evolution, you break free from that cycle. You stop being predictable, and that unpredictability makes you far more attractive. Here's the key takeaway: the more indifferent you are, the more unpredictable and attractive you become. Not because you're trying to manipulate anyone, but because you're focused on becoming the best version of yourself. That's what makes indifference so powerful. It's rooted in self-respect, not in trying to gain control. The beauty of this strategy is that it naturally filters the right people into your life. Those who genuinely care will respect your space and growth. Those who don't were never meant to stay in the first place. Either way, you win. One of the most powerful strategies you can adopt after a setback or heartbreak is to rebuild yourself in complete silence. Not for revenge, not for anyone else, but for your own growth and transformation. Silence isn't weakness, it's preparation. It's the space where real power is born. In this period of silence, focus on improving 3 key areas of your life: your physical health, your career, and your intellectual growth. Let's start with your physical health. When you improve your body, you improve your mind. The gym isn't just a place to build muscles, it's a battlefield where you conquer your limits every day. Each workout becomes a victory, and those victories accumulate into something bigger: confidence, resilience, and strength that no one can take away from you. Next, your career. This is where you channel your energy into creating something meaningful. Whether it's building a business, pursuing a new career, or mastering a new skill, this is your chance to grow in ways that were previously unimaginable. As you rise in your field, you'll notice something profound: your focus shifts from the past to the infinite possibilities of the future. Your work becomes your passion, and passion is irresistible. Then, there's intellectual growth. Never stop learning. Read books on philosophy, finance, psychology, and anything that feeds your soul and mind. Learn to control your thoughts and emotions through mindfulness and meditation. The more you invest in your inner world, the stronger your outer world becomes. A friend of mine once went through an intense breakup. Instead of drowning in despair, he went silent and started working on himself relentlessly. He transformed his physique, doubled his income by focusing on his career, and developed a powerful mindset. Months later, his ex reached out, but by that time, he had evolved into someone entirely different, someone out of her reach. Here's the truth: when you rebuild in silence, you become someone they never expected. The person who seemed broken is now stronger than ever. They'll notice. Not because you announce it, but because your presence, your energy, your confidence radiates without you saying a word. So, take this silence as your opportunity. Build yourself. Grow in ways you never imagined. When you focus on your growth, everything else falls into place. The power of rebuilding in silence isn't just about proving them wrong, it's about becoming someone so strong that you no longer care if they notice or not. You'll be beyond that. There's a certain irony in life, just when you've moved on, that's often when they try to come back. This is the inevitable return. But how you handle it makes all the difference. Imagine this, you've been working on yourself, focusing on your career, health, and personal growth. You've become stronger, wiser, and more self-assured. Then, out of the blue, she reaches out. Maybe it's a casual text like, "Hey, I hope you're doing well," or a random comment on your social media post. At this moment, most people fall into one of two traps. The first trap is rushing back with open arms, forgetting all the progress made. The second trap is responding emotionally, either with anger or sarcasm, trying to prove how much they've changed. But neither approach serves you. Instead, the true power lies in calmness, detachment, and self-control. When she reaches out, you don't have to ignore her, but you also shouldn't act as though her return validates your worth. A simple, measured response shows that you've truly moved on. Remember, the goal isn't to punish or seek revenge. The goal is to stay grounded in your newfound strength. You've rebuilt your life, and now it's your choice whether she fits into it, not the other way around. I once knew someone who went through this very situation. His ex reached out after months of silence, hoping to reconnect. He didn't respond with anger or eagerness. He simply responded with kindness but stayed firm in his boundaries. Over time, she realized he wasn't the same person she left. He had grown beyond the relationship, and that made him more attractive than ever. But by that point, he no longer needed her validation. The key here is to remain calm and confident. Don't let old emotions dictate your actions. Show her, not through words, but through your energy, that you've evolved. This isn't about playing games, it's about showing the world, and yourself, that you are in control of your life. If she's sincere in her return, you'll sense it. But remember, this is your choice now. It's no longer about being chosen, it's about deciding what aligns with your future. When she reaches out after a long period of silence, it's easy to feel a rush of emotions. You might feel excitement, curiosity, or even validation. But this is the ultimate test. How you respond, or if you respond at all, can completely shift the dynamic. The biggest mistake many make is reacting too enthusiastically. Responding right away, showing too much interest, or immediately engaging in deep conversations can erase all the progress you've made. It sends a signal that you were waiting all along, and it gives her back the power you worked so hard to reclaim. The key here is to maintain emotional distance. If you choose to respond, do so with calmness and restraint. A short, neutral message like, "I'm doing well, thanks. Hope you are too," is enough. You don't need to explain your life or dive into past emotions. Keep the conversation light and let it end naturally. Remember, the purpose is not to play games but to stay true to the new version of yourself. You've grown and evolved, and your actions should reflect that growth. Staying grounded shows her that you are not the same person she left. I knew someone who was put to this exact test. His ex reached out after months of no contact. Instead of rushing back, he kept the interaction brief and positive. He didn't fall into old patterns. Over time, she began to realize how much he had changed. And by that point, he had truly moved on. The lesson here is simple: stay calm. Stay measured. Let her see the confident, centered person you've become. The power lies in how you handle the moment, not with emotion, but with quiet strength. There's a powerful shift that happens when you stop seeking validation from someone else and turn inward for true growth. Many of us make the mistake of tying our self-worth to another person's attention or approval. But the reality is, your value has nothing to do with how someone else perceives you, it's about how you perceive yourself. The key to becoming truly unshakable lies in focusing on your internal world, your mental strength, emotional clarity, and personal purpose. This isn't about building walls to shut people out, it's about cultivating the foundation of who you are so that no external event can destabilize you. I knew a man who went through a tough breakup and initially believed he could only be happy if he got her back. But instead of chasing her, he started chasing his own growth. He went back to the gym, launched his own business, and invested time in his hobbies and passions. The transformation was remarkable, not because he became someone else but because he became the best version of himself. The most important lesson here is this: the moment you detach your sense of self-worth from anyone else's approval, you become unstoppable. You start to realize that happiness and fulfillment don't come from a relationship, they come from within. When you reach this state of internal freedom, something incredible happens. You stop worrying about whether someone regrets leaving you or whether they'll come back. You become indifferent, not in a cold or cruel way, but in a way that reflects true peace and strength. This is the ultimate victory, not getting her back, but getting yourself back. When you truly invest in yourself, you create a life so full of meaning and purpose that validation from others becomes unnecessary. As we come to the end of this journey, there's one crucial lesson I want to leave with you: true power lies not in getting her back, but in becoming someone she'll never forget, someone who no longer needs her. You see, when you focus all your energy on trying to win someone back, you lose sight of what really matters: you. It's easy to get caught up in thoughts of regret, what ifs, and trying to prove something. But what if you shifted that energy toward your growth? What if you transformed yourself into someone so strong, so self-assured, that external validation became irrelevant? The man who embraces this transformation becomes untouchable. He's not concerned with who left or who might come back. His focus is on the present, on building a life that reflects his values and his strength. Let me tell you a story of a friend who went through this very journey. After a painful breakup, he made a decision: not to beg, not to wait, but to rise. He changed his habits, hit the gym, grew his business, and started reading everything he could on personal development. Months later, when his ex reached out, it didn't matter. He was so immersed in his new life that her message felt like a whisper in a storm, barely noticeable. And that's the ultimate victory: building a life so fulfilling that no external event can shake your foundation. This isn't about revenge. It's not about making her regret her decision. It's about you. So if this message resonated with you, share it with someone who needs it. Stay focused on your growth. Build yourself up, brick by brick, and let life surprise you. You'll be amazed at how things fall into place when your focus shifts inward.